Hey everybody, today I'm talking about Gods Love Dinosaurs, which is a 2 to 5 player board game released in 2020, designed by Kasper Lapp. This one takes about 45 to 60 minutes to play, and it's published by PandaSaurus Games. So first off, I want to say I really don't like the name of this game. I think it's a bit clumsy sounding, a bit amateurish. It would be nice for me personally to have something a bit more snappy and a bit more cool sounding, but that's just personal taste. But the idea of the actual idea of the game is super cool, as you are trying to, I suppose, create your own little ecosystem where the critters keep reproducing, and you want the prey to eat the critters, and you want your dinosaur to eat the hunters. And it's all about striking a balance about how you're going to keep that going. Essentially, this is just a tile drafting game. You're going to take tiles off this communal board and add it onto your own player board, kind of matching the terrain and things. Because you have different types of terrain where certain animals can live on. For example, in the swamp, the frogs can live there. In the kind of grassland, all the rabbits live, etc. So, not only when you're placing these tiles are you expanding that area for those rabbits and things to grow into, you can potentially add these new tiles which add new spawning points for that prey, or new spawning points for the predators. And every time a certain amount of tiles is taken, something is triggered, because there are several different columns of these tiles, and whenever the last one's taken, then it might say all your frogs reproduce. So all the frogs, where you've got a frog on your board, are going to expand into an adjacent hex. And if you haven't got the room for it to do so, then you're going to be wasting that action, really. And alternatively, some columns will say, when you've taken the last tile, move your prey, and the prey are going to have to start moving in different ways. So you've got your two different types of hunters, I should say, not prey, or predators. And the predators are going to, I think they're like tigers or something, or saber-toothed tigers, and they move 2 spaces, and they have to end on one of the prey in order to keep them alive, because if they don't eat, they're going to die. So you've got to always be wary of having enough prey on your board in order to feed your predators. And if they do, say, a drive-by and eat a prey on the way, they're actually going to reproduce to another predator, which is good in a way, which I'll explain in a minute, but alternatively, you're going to run out of food quickly if you have too many predators. You've also got the flying predators, which move up 3 spaces in a straight line, and again they have to end on a certain prey and eat, but everyone they drive by, they're going to reproduce. So as you can probably imagine, you're either going to quickly run out of options for them to eat, or you are going to have too many predators by reproducing too often. And that's where the dinosaur comes into play, because there is a dinosaur meeple moving around on that drafting board, and whenever a certain column is taken, then the dinosaur is also going to move, and he's going to move 5 spaces, and he has to end back on the volcano he starts on, or on another mountain range. But for every predator that he moves through, you are going to collect an egg, which is essentially your end game scoring. So the idea of the game is to collect as many eggs as you can, because the player with the most is going to be the winner. But obviously you want to be eating the prey, or eating the predators, but you don't want to be eating too much of them, because you want to have them on the board, because you want to be eating them in the future and you want them to reproduce. So it really is this fine, delicate balance of always having enough prey for the predators to eat, having enough predators for the dinosaur to eat, but also having enough predators so they can reproduce to create more predators so the dinosaur can eat them as well. And your map is constantly getting bigger and bigger, and as the game goes on, you're probably going to find yourself just completely going up and down in your certain types of resources. One minute you'll find that you've got so many prey on the board that you just need more predators because you're being wasteful, and then you'll quickly find that you've got too many predators because they've got nothing to eat. And that's where you can bring in new dinosaurs, because you can actually spend eggs to bring a new dinosaur onto the board, so you've got more than one dinosaur needing to eat whenever they're triggered. And that's basically going to be how the game works until all the tiles in the game are used up. It really is all about striking that balance and keeping things flowing, and just always making sure that everything has enough to eat and not being wasteful. So, as you can probably tell, at least in my opinion, it's a really novel concept. I can't really think of anything else out there that does this the way that this game does it. Pretty simple mechanically, just drafting one of those tiles and hoping not to, and triggering things at certain times. But the decisions behind that aren't always going to be as simple as they might seem, because you might think, oh, I need frogs, so I'll take this last frog tile so that frogs are triggered and they reproduce. But the dinosaur might be on that tile, meaning that if you take it, then the dinosaur's going to move, but you might not have any food for the dinosaur to eat. So you do have to weigh up all these decisions, and it's not so straightforward as you might initially think. You want certain tiles, but you don't want the benefit of it, or you want the benefit, but you don't want the tile. You want to expand your regions so that more prey can grow in them, but at the same time you might be running out of something else. So yeah, as I said, all about that fine balance, and very simple mechanically, just drafting the tiles and placing them onto your board. The balance of the game is everybody's playing from the same hymn sheet really. I can't really think there's any there's no really scope in this game for any kind of unbalanced strategies or anything like that, at least from what I've seen. So yeah, balance is absolutely great. Time investment wise, 45 to 60 minute game, which is I think about right for this one. I think if it went on any longer than that, it might start to outstay its welcome. But I think I wouldn't quite call this a gateway level game. Getting there, but maybe just that next step above. So kind of a next level game beyond that gateway level, which I would deem this as. And I think a 45 to 60 minute game is great for that kind of niche. Uptime is good, really. I mean, you're only kind of waiting for people to draw their tiles, so there's not much scope for losing interest or anything like that. And you're always trying to think about what I'm going to do next. Do I need more predators? Can I afford to have more predators in order to feed them? Do I want to start driving through the other prey so that I make more predators? So yeah, there is. You're always thinking on your turn, and you're just waiting for people to draft their tiles. So there's not really a lot of downtime and not too much analysis paralysis. Interaction is passive. People taking tiles that you want, but actually, kind of correcting myself there. Sometimes you might actually want to trigger things. For example, if your opponent's got loads of predators on the board and they haven't got anything to eat, then you can take that tile that triggers the predators to move and make them all starve and die. So yeah, there is actually some interesting interaction here, which is quite novel. Replayability is something I'm kind of in two minds about, because I think always you're going to be approaching this in a certain light. But it's more of a tactical game, always trying to spin the plates really. So I think in that respect you're going to be engaged and not having to go around, you're not going to be or feel the tedium of having to go through the same process for an end game strategy. Whereas this one you're very much reacting to what your state of play is. Aesthetically, a nice bright vibe to it. I like the way the game looks. All the tiles come together nicely. The meeples in this game are really nice. They're a bit delicate, but they're extremely well designed, well cut, and they all look really cool. So yeah, it has a real nice visual aspect to it. So yeah, I can't really complain in that respect. And the components as well, all of a decent quality. The theme, as I mentioned, is great. I love the idea and concept of this game. So yeah, can't complain there at all. And the setup and teardown time is not really an issue. You have got tiered tiles, so you do have to sort that out. But other than that, no real issue whatsoever. The progression is something that ramps up nicely throughout, because obviously you're expanding your map, creating more prey, meaning that you can have more predators, meaning that you can potentially create more dinosaurs. So the scope of the game is constantly getting bigger and bigger and bigger, and you start to have your own kind of little ecosystems within ecosystems. So that works well. Scalability as well, no real issue at any player count, because the triggers of those different animals works based on how many tiles are there, and that's scaled to be fewer with fewer players. So that scales perfectly fine in my opinion. And not really much else I can actually compare this game to. I can't think of anything that strikes a chord with this one for me. But yeah, overall, I did enjoy this game. I think it works. I think it works well. I think it puts across what it's trying to achieve well. It's fun, it's tactical, it really is, as I keep saying, a game of spinning so many plates and just keeping everything sweet, making sure you don't run out of things so that you're not wasteful of your predators and just making them die. Always making sure that you're keeping up with your opponents by having your dinosaur feed on things. But yeah, it strikes a I think it has a great place in terms of being a next level gateway game. Some really cool ideas, you know, it kind of put well or achieved well. So yeah, I can't really have anything bad to say about this one. Not typically the kind of game that I go for, but certainly happy I've played it and will happily play this again anytime really, because it's a relatively meaty game in a pretty succinct time period with some interesting decisions throughout. So definitely check this one out if this one appeals to you. Shame the name didn't. Shame it didn't have a better name for the game, because I think that could actually work against this one. And the box cover as well, I don't think does a great job of explaining or giving an impression of what the game's about. But very small niggles there, which again I'm nitpicking. So yeah, other than that, can't really say much bad about it. So I hope you've enjoyed this review of Gods Love Dinosaurs. If you have, please hit like and subscribe to my channel and check out my other videos too. For everyone else, I'll see you next time on Chairman of the Board. Bye.